3FM, and this is the Tea Break. My name is Okikiolua Kindling.
And my name is Nema.
Nema, how you doing?
I'm okay. The weekend was like 2 minutes. I literally closed my eyes and opened it, and it's Monday.
Friday night.
Chai!
Open is Monday morning. Well, today we want to talk about, this morning we have some guests with us in the studio, and we want to talk about something that is, I think because when we live in Lagos, this is something we experience. On a daily. I've always said it. Yeah. And I want to talk about the international 2022 International Stress Awareness Week. All right. And today we just want to talk about a little bit about stress. All right. I want to talk about stress, and I always say that you know how stress is, like living in Lagos is like just the fact that you're living in Lagos alone. That's like 40% stress. Yeah. Then if you are now active in Lagos, you are now doing stuff in Lagos, that's like another 40%. Like I was just saying that, you know, I don't think no matter how privileged you are in Lagos, you will still encounter stress at some point. No matter how rich you are. So yes, to talk to us this morning about stress is Dr. Muyosoro Makinde, and I will just tell you about a little bit about who Dr. Muyosoro Makinde is. Nema?
Okay, so Dr. Muyosoro Makinde is a family physician and an international board certified lifestyle medicine physician. She is currently a consultant and trainer at the Department of Family Medicine, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. She has special interests in mental wellness, disease prevention, and management using the principles of lifestyle medicine. She serves as Education Secretary for the Society of Lifestyle Medicine of Nigeria and is the immediate past General Secretary for the Wonka Young Doctors Movement in African Renaissance. She's the current General Secretary for the Wonka Working Party for Women and Family Medicine Africa region. Dr. Makinde is also the founder of a non-profit organization, Lifestyle Champions International. Join us as we welcome Dr. Makinde.
Thank you. As they say it on the road, it's quite a lot. Good morning, Dr. Makinde.
Good morning.
You're welcome to.
Thank you so much.
To the show. All right, let's just go into it. Stress. I mean, if you go on the street and ask people what is stress, they just be like, I leave my house by 4, I'm sitting in traffic for 2 hours, I get to the office, and then I have to do the same thing over again in the evening. What exactly is stress? What is stress? Let's know the real definition of stress. Maybe what we think is stress is not really stress. Stress.
Thank you very much. Like you said, stress actually has various definitions. I would say it in a simple way for people to understand, based on some studies that some psychologists have done. Okay. And they refer stress to the way in which an individual responds to a situation and controls that situation. But if you want to look at the Collins English Dictionary, it talks about stress as being emotional and mental strain due to some circumstances that usually the person perceives as being beyond his or her control, or it could be a threatening situation, sometimes life-threatening.
Emotional and mental
strain.
Emotional and mental
strain. Some of us have that. Some of us wait, so that means that stress can just meet you wherever
anywhere.
You might not be looking for stress, but stress can just meet you. Emotional and mental stress. Wow,
exactly.
Wow. I mean, when you look at stress, right, and pressure, some people might, mix these terms together. So what would you say is the difference between stress and pressure?
Stress is actually pressure, but the pressure exceeds your ability to cope at that point in time. Okay. So you could have two people facing the same scenario, but the way they're responding is totally different because of other things in the background. For example, two people are writing the same exam, and one person sees this as being highly stressful, the other person is just flowing. Yeah, it might be that other person lost a loved one recently.
Yes.
Is a breadwinner, it's finding it difficult, to make ends meet. So the pressure is more.
Okay. So you would say that the factors that, a person deals with in their life would determine the rate of pressure? Like
yes,
the things
it
that
contributes.
they've been through, or maybe the things that, that affect them as a person actually attributes to the pressure that they go through.
Very true.
Okay.
Can we say that pressure causes stress? So, because when you said, like, okay, so two people are writing an exam, and then they are responding to this exam in two totally different ways. So you have someone who might have recently lost a loved one, and when you said breadwinner, that's where the light bulb went off in my head. Like, maybe there's pressure to provide, pressure to to look a certain way. They are putting up a certain, well, not very putting up, but there's an expectation from them. There's a pressure of expectation that's placed on them. Can we say that causes stress?
Definitely. Pressure to become, pressure to succeed.
Hey,
and that is so rampant now, even among young people.
It's getting worse.
Pressure to pass exams. I know people who do certain things, just so that they can pass exams, even if they're not conventional or unhealthy.
So what would you say, what are the different kinds of stressors?
Yes, so we have a lot of stressors, but let me classify it in a way that will help my listeners, to understand. We actually have internal stressors, and we have external stressors. The internal stressors, they result from our internal environment, the way we think, our emotions, anger, fear, guilt. It could even be an inferiority complex. The emotions that you experience from day in, day out are stressors, because they have a way of sending messages to the brain, and the brain will release certain hormones in response to that agitation, and that will now also send another message, to the body, and before you know it, you start having symptoms. On the other hand, we have external stressors. Those are the things that come from the outside that create the pressure, that create that impression, that you form in your mind eventually. So, and they could be environmental stressors. We're just talking about traffic, and how many hours I spent in traffic this morning. So, but I did something in order to cope with that. That's a coping mechanism.
We're going to get there. You have to.
Yes. So we have all sorts of stressors. They could be work stressors. It could be an unfavorable work environment. It could be a boss who is not understanding. There could be financial stressors. There are things that have to do with your business. It could be economical. Family life stressors. It could be the political terrain. Based on where you live.
Hey, Dr. Makinde, I've broken the table, because this I don't want to enter there, but this political, because the political is leading to the economical, and the economical is leading to each other one. It's affecting everybody. But let's look at so you said there are internal stressors, there are external stressors. So can we say the economical, the political terrain, and all those ones can be classified under external, and then the internal, that's the one that has to do with your emotions, like whether you're angry and all that. Wow. Okay, so what are major causes of stress, and how can a person's lifestyle cause stress? I think this one is very important, because we think stress just finds us, but many times we find it. We go out and look for the stress.
Just like I said, I mentioned quite a number of stressors. Maybe I'll just still mention a few of them, to say how they actually cause stress. And one of them has to do with our work, the demands of your job, working long hours. So studies that have been done over time show that working long hours, having an unfavorable work environment, all those things are major causes of stress.
Dr. Makinde, I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
What would you consider long hours? Because I don't think we have a I don't think we have a frame.
Yeah.
So what would you consider long hours?
So, long hours, the work, is it the labor organization, or there are some definitions actually, and they believe that the working hours should be between 8 and 5, or 9 and 5, or 8 and 4. So, but that changes. It changes when it comes to jobs where you have to be on call, or you have to take shifts. So it's different, it varies from organization to organization.
Interesting. So what are some of the warnings of a high stress level? How do we know? I mean, we all say we have stress, but how do you know that your stress level is, what are some things that you would see?
Actually, we have varying levels of stress, and I want us to recognize that we have positive stress. Yes.
Sorry, come again?
Positive stress. Yes, we call it eustress. Yes, and you need that level of stress to push you to do some certain things, to reach your goals and objectives, and to do certain things, meet deadlines, write exams.
Positive stress.
Yes, so that is positive stress, and it has to do with the way you are responding to that situation. So you are using it positively to help you carry out your daily activities to achieve, your goal. But we now have other varying levels. So it gets to a high level, a distressing level, when you reach your optimum. So we have optimum levels of stress, but once you cross it, then you begin to break down.
Okay.
Some people can even burn out. But you discover that you're unproductive, you procrastinate, you develop a lot of negative feelings, you become pessimistic. So those are the distressing signs or symptoms that tell you that you're not coping with whatever situation is at hand. And stress can actually affect different parts of our human frame. It can affect your mind, it can affect your emotions, it can affect your behavior, it can affect your body. Studies have shown that 70% of the people that actually visit a primary care provider are complaining of symptoms that are related to stress. But those people that are coming to you telling you, I think I have malaria, I have typhoid. And the way they say they have that malaria and typhoid, you think
they are so sure.
They are so sure, even without running a test. And before you know it, people are swallowing antimalarials, swallowing antibiotics, no definite diagnosis. Whereas that symptom of headache, that symptom of fatigue is actually from a stressful lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah. And then many of us, when you find out that you're not making the right judgments, you're making hasty decisions, you're losing concentration at work, you're irritable, you're angry, those are symptoms of stress.
Yeah.
Yes. So, of course, you need to find out what the external stressor is, that is fueling your emotions for you to feel like that.
Yeah.
And, of course, by the time it affects your mind, you can develop symptoms of anxiety. You can develop symptoms of depression, and that fuels, this sudden rise, in suicidal thoughts, distressing suicidal thoughts. And that's why we have a lot of young people also, committing suicide now. So we have different levels, but everyone has their unique points. They have their limits. So we need to learn what our limits are and what to do at that time so that we don't get sucked in desperation and all sorts of habits, unhealthy lifestyle habits that could now affect our health.
Okay, so you've said that stress affects us mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally, and it could just affect our overall well-being. But what are some major health problems that could arise from stress?
Yes, so I mentioned anxiety and depression. Those are major health issues, and they're becoming more and more rampant. Remember the COVID stress?
Of course,
A lot of people developed depression just because of the fear. But aside from that, we also have some longitudinal studies that show that even over a 15-year period, people who had worked long hours, I'm going back to long hours again.
No, we do like long hours in Nigeria. It's not healthy.
Yes, they were at a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Actually, a twofold risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And this was a longitudinal study over 15 years. So, and we are having a pandemic now of diabetes. So sometimes people ask, why is this becoming so rampant? Our lifestyle explains it. Yes, it explains it. We also have heart disease. There was also a study that showed that people who were let go from work, without adequate consideration, they were more prone to heart disease. I remember someone who owned a fish store along the road to my house, very big fish store. During some construction and all of that, the fish store was raised. I'm sure she must. I hope she was compensated. But I learned that she died within 6 months. So she might have had an underlying health issue, but this just aggravated it. during a football match, I learned in the city of Germany, I learned that heart attacks were actually increased during the time of that of a World Cup. More people had heart attacks.
So it all make you help you relax.
Yes.
Wow.
So it all has to do with how you respond. So everyone needs to learn, how to respond and adapt their response as well. But those are some of the major health issues.
Okay. There's something you mentioned earlier, is which I think we need to highlight more, which is the fact that many people, when they have a small discomfort or they have a small, they are feeling off. Let's say there's a slight malaise, they just say, it's malaria, it's fever, don't worry. And then next thing, they are going to buy 1 or 2 malaria, and they are putting it together, malaria drugs, and they are putting it together. I think we need to highlight the fact that people need to visit caregivers more, at least to know what is wrong with you. It's not every time there is malaria. I think malaria itself will be tired at some point. People stop calling my name. I'm not the one doing it. But we need as people living in Lagos, I think we need to start going to the hospital more, visiting primary health caregivers more, because you never know what it is that might be wrong with you. You might think you have malaria. Meanwhile, you just need to rest and sleep.
So exactly.
3 days. Well, okay, let's talk about how stress affects a person's lifestyle.
Yes, so actually it's a vicious cycle. Stress affects your lifestyle, and your lifestyle affects your stress. Yes, so our lifestyle has to do with the way we live, our habits, what we eat, what we drink, how well we sleep, our relationships, substances, including alcohol, cigarettes, all those things are part of a person's lifestyle. However, what we have discovered is that when we are stressed, we engage in unwholesome, healthy practices. So the lifestyle becomes more unhealthy because of the stress. And at the same time, when you are engaging in those unwholesome or unhealthy lifestyle practices, it increases your stress as well, because it causes more damage to the body. Take, for example, someone who has the pressure to succeed or to pass an exam and hears that, there's something that if you just sniff a little of it, you pass. So that is a substance which at the end of the day will form an addiction. And of course, a lot of people end up in psychiatric hospital just because of substance use. But they don't realize it at that time. The intention was to pass an exam, to succeed, to perform. So in the same way, in another dimension, some of us, because we want to succeed, you stay up all night studying, reading, and you get to the exam and it backfires because you have a brain block. Because your body is stressed and can't cope anymore with writing that exam. But some people feel that's the way out. And living in Lagos, you find out that a lot of people lose sleep just to get to work on time. You leave your house by 3:30 or 4 a.m. and drive for 2 or 3 hours.
Pressure.
So that's a lot of pressure, and that makes you to sit down for a long period in the vehicle. And studies have shown that sedentary lifestyle is actually the 4th most common risk factor for premature death globally. And then we get to work, we sit throughout. 4th? Yes, the 4th risk factor. Yes, this is scientific documentation.
Wow.
So it's our lifestyle, that actually leads to stress. And then when we are not feeling good, we now find ways to cope, unhealthy ways to cope. But we can find healthy ways to cope, actually.
Yes, we'll get to how we can overcome stressful situations and how we can manage this stress that we seemingly can't avoid in Lagos. Lagos, if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. This is still your number one family radio, Inspiration 92.3 FM. This is the Tea Break, and we have been talking about stress this morning. And talking to us this morning is Dr. Moyosore Makinde. With us also in the studio is Oluyemisi Mati, who is the product manager at Mega Life Sciences. Good morning.
Good morning, Mom.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please speak into the microphone.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, everyone.
Much better. All right, please, can you tell us about International Stress Awareness Week?
Okay. International Stress Awareness Week. It's a week that was actually founded in 2018.
Okay.
And this is not far-fetched because of the rise in how stress is affecting our day-to-day activity. And then not just affecting, but impacting negatively on how, we end up, like Dr. Makinde has explained, degenerating into a lot of things that is spilling out of our control. So that is, for Mega Life Sciences, we decided to celebrate this day in a very, very big way because we are into human wellness, making people stay healthy as long as they live, not just the pills, but the right one actually. So for us, we want to create a lot of awareness about stress to people because yes, stress is actually downrated these days. People just talk about it like, yeah, I'm stressed. I think I'm stressed, but they don't really know the weight this stress we're talking about is carrying when it comes to our health and our day-to-day activities. So we decided that we need to awaken our consciousness to, even if you want to eat, you have to make sure it's the right food. You have to ensure you get the adequate sleep and you don't just pop the pills. Dr. Makinde was talking about malaria, and I know that a lot of us must have experienced that some anti-malarials that we take are now not responding to our, trying to treat what we are using because we have abused it. If you don't take the piperaquine, you take the ACT, you just keep modeling everything up and looking away from the angle of stress. So we want to bring our consciousness as Nigerians back because there are certain things that we just have to take and live with. We cannot change them. We cannot change how traffic affects us in Lagos or in Ogun State or in Ibadan or wherever they must have been hearing me from. You can't change that, but you can change how you react to them. And that's why we're here today to awaken that what you can change them. The ones you can change, leave. Learn to prioritize. Learn to go after what makes you happy. And above all, we need certain things to help us cope, which I'm sure that Dr. Makinde will talk a bit about it, and I will also round off in how Mega Life Science is coming. Thank you very much.
All right. So, Dr. Makinde, let's tell us how we can overcome stressful situations and manage stress. And because we're already running out of time, so in 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes.
So first of all, acknowledge that you are going to get faced with stressful situations, life events, losing a loved one, relocating, changing your job, and then do some kind of cognitive restructuring on how you respond, to such situations. You can actually plan ahead, and you find out that you will respond better if you have planned. You can set realistic goals, a daily planner, a yearly planner, then get support. Don't do things on your own. Make sure you have enough support. Try and enjoy what you do. Sometimes it's all about what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, then it's going to give you a lot of pressure, and you want to actually change what you're doing. Aside from that, you need to sleep well. You need to build positive emotions. You can build positive emotions by taking out tools from this toolbox, going for a walk, spending time in nature, relaxing, playing with a pet or with your children, having hobbies, learning something new, volunteering, giving, building, virtues, wisdom, knowledge, courage, justice. All those things have been shown in studies that when you place priority on them, they will actually help you to develop positive emotions which are protective against the damaging effects of stress.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, Yemisi, would you tell us a little bit about Mega Life Sciences and why this campaign on stress is very important?
2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. We have quite a number of things that happens in our body when you're stressed. One of it is generation of free radicals and then increase in cortisol level. I'm sure Dr. Makinde would have mentioned that. So, when free radicals are being generated in your body, we have antioxidant that can help you mop it up, both fat soluble and water soluble antioxidant. You also have the cortisol levels. Certain things can help you bring it down. Aside from what Dr. Makinde has mentioned, trying to sleep well, trying to eat healthy, trying to prioritize things, trying to ensure you engage in things that make you happy. We also have studies have shown that ginseng Panax ginseng multivitamin helps in reducing the cortisol level in the body over time. So for us in Mega Life Sciences, the priority is first of all identifying your stressor, knowing what stresses you out, what burns you out, what eats you up. And after you've been able to identify it, aside from your diet, your exercise, and the rest of it, you also include in your daily diet your supplements, which is our GINSOMIN, what we market to ensure that people live healthy as long as they live. GINSOMIN contains ginseng multivitamin. It contains both fat soluble and water soluble vitamins that helps mop up this free radical. The ginseng, lots of study, over 2,000 studies shows that it helps reduce cortisol level, boost libido, because you know that when you're stressed, libido is not even something that you want to look at, right? Because you're going to be down with it, and then you start having issues in your home when they say irreconcilable differences. These are actually the trigger. So we need with GINSOMIN. It helps you cope perfectly with stress and then give you the energy you need to perform your day-to-day activity. So like I said, in Mega Life Sciences, we're after human wellness for them to stay healthy as long as they live.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Yemisi, for coming today, and also thank you to you, Dr. Makinde, for coming to talk to us about stress. Lagos, you've heard it. There needs to be a paradigm shift in what you place your priorities on, and like I said, these are things that studies have shown that will bring your stress levels down. All right, but I mean, hanging there, you need to, Lagos and stress is just
5 and 6.
But we hope that what we've said today, what we've learned today, will help you in moving forward, helping your stress levels now and beyond. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Makinde. Thank you very much, Yemisi Marty, for coming to be with us today. We'll take a break for the headline news, and after that, the show continues. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. This is your number one family radio, Inspiration 92.3 FM. Stay tuned.
92.3